Good afternoon and welcome to the Happy Half Hour. I'm Leigh Kubin.
And I'm Sandra Priestley. Welcome to our podcast. Welcome to 2024. By the time this airs, it is 2024. How crazy.
Crazy.
I am drinking an Italian sweet red wine.
Ooh.
I love port wine,
Uh-huh.
but it's sort of like grape juice with a kick. But I was just reading it's supposed to be chilled. It is not. It is still good. It's a Roscato. But
Oh,
I really do like, yeah, this like sweet wine and also water. So tell me what you're drinking before we
backup
start.
water. Well, I am drinking some tea in my hypnotherapy mug, and it says, if I can read it, because badass miracle worker isn't an official job title.
Like it. Yes.
Got
Awesome.
that for Christmas this year.
How cute. And what kind
So,
of tea are you drinking?
huh?
What kind of tea are you drinking?
It's just mint tea.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
nice.
Just a little fresh mint.
Fresh mint. Um, okay, so just prior to us getting on this call,
Mm-hmm.
I've been watching Mel Robbins a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And just on, when I get lost in scroll because I'm numbing or if procrastinating. And so she did this reel, and it was her 4 lessons of 2023. And what I love about Mel Robbins is like she's super real, like she
Oh, yeah.
shows like her hair's all messy, she's still sitting in bed. Like I love that. And I love that this was her lessons of 2023. And she
Mm-hmm.
said they're the lessons she learned the hard way. And she just, I don't know, she just became so fucking relatable. Like I
Yeah,
just,
because she tells I mean, she's not acting like she knows it all and
right.
that she's not evolving. And that is another thing I like about her is
Mhm.
that she's evolving and
Always.
growing, and changing.
Yeah.
Her message is the same, but it's elevated from where it
Exactly.
was 2 years ago.
Yes.
Hmm.
And I love that it's on a ton of different topics, like her thoughts on a ton of different topics. And it's really just like her philosophy on things or
Yeah.
her way she sees things. And yeah, she always makes me think. So I wanted to share these because I thought some of them were really good. The first one was to be, and I'm paraphrasing a lot of this, so, but the
Okay.
first one was to be happy or drop the sword.
Mm.
And she said, like, stop fighting against your happiness and stop bracing for shit to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, I love that she says that this was her lesson she learned the hard way. Like, because I think a lot of times we assume we see these people that are online, these influencers, and we assume that they don't fight against anything,
Oh, yeah.
right? We assume they don't have the sword. And oh, man, I can see it so often when I am fighting against it. And it's not fighting even against anyone, but
Right. Hmm.
my own happiness, my own, like, I'm like, you know, like walking through quicksand sometimes
Well, and it's
and
just
pushing my
patterns of
own quicksand.
behavior,
Yeah.
just
There's,
patterns
yeah.
that we carry and repeat until one day we wake up and go, I've been down this road more than once. It always ends the
Right.
same. What am I doing?
Why am I here again?
Uh-huh.
Exactly. So that was one. And stop bracing for shit. How often do we do that, right? We brace for shit. Or I find myself sometimes like Cam will say, whoa, good, we're on the roller coaster again. Cause like I'll get super excited about something and then I think, oh yeah, but what's coming next? Right? Like I'm like going up the roller coaster and I'm bracing to go down.
Hmm.
I don't like heights either.
Yeah.
So what the fuck am I doing on the roller coaster? Um, so that was her first one. Her second one was instead of focusing on balance, focus on boundaries. She said, when we focus on balance, everything, all of the priorities are competing. and she doesn't like that competing energy. Instead of like focusing on boundaries, allows some grace.
Mm,
Um, she said number 3 was frustration is a good thing because it's a sign that you've outgrown something.
mm,
And 4 was change will take a year.
mm.
Now, I know that we chatted about this and we have differing opinions. Well, I don't know if you and I have differing opinions on that last one because I feel like we have the same opinions,
I think
but
we're
I come
close.
from a different angle, I think.
Yeah.
So you tell me what you think about change. Change takes
I
a
think
year.
if you go into something thinking it's going to take a year, it's going to take a year. So no, I don't
Mhm.
think change takes a year. The whole process of the evolution might take a year. I don't, but change can happen in an instant. You can
Yes.
decide enough is enough. This is what
Mhm.
I want. Now, are you going to see evidence of all of that immediately? No. If you're going on a diet and you're trying to get 50 pounds off, it's going to take a little time, but your mindset can shift in a moment.
In a split second, in a moment,
And
exactly. Like there's,
at that moment, you change. It changes who you are. It
yeah,
changes the way you look at life. It changes the way you interact with others
yeah.
because all of a sudden you know this is where I'm going. This is what I'm going
Mhm.
to do.
Yeah.
And you start feeling like that instead of saying, I'm going to sit here and be miserable until I get to that goal.
Well, then you're just miserable with the goal too, right?
Oh, yeah, you get to the goal and you're still miserable. And you're like, well, what's the fucking point?
It honestly, like in Al-Anon, an AA
Mm-hmm.
realm, um, my mom used to always talk about dry drunks, right? So like not doing the processing of all the emotions and the reason why someone drinks, but then just removing the alcohol. Like sometimes people just remove the alcohol, but there's still the, they still have all of those emotions and things, but no vice,
Yeah.
no
Well,
coping.
different vice.
Different. And so it's kind of the same, right? Like you got to transform in the process
Mm-hmm.
instead of just focusing
That's
on the end
part of the
result.
process. It's part
Yeah,
of it.
you gotta love it.
Mm-hmm. But,
I think, oh, okay, go ahead.
well, no, I was just going to say, when you're looking at the whole thing, it can take some time,
Yeah.
but I don't think change requires a year. So, okay, what do you think?
And I agree. I don't think change requires a year. The way that I hear it is probably not as literal because one of the things that I feel like I've had to do in order to make any consistent changes in my daily habits
Mm-hmm.
has been to not focus on the timeline, like remove the timeline,
Yeah.
focus on the process, focus on success being what I do every day and not the end result and not on the timeline. So when she says change can take a year, it's just like, yeah, I'm not focusing on a year or 3 months or 3 hours. Like I'm just focusing on change can take however long change takes or however long it ends up being till I reach my goal. I'm not even focusing on it. I'm focusing on the daily actions or the micro actions that I need to every day. And that's got to be success. And I think over the years, I've had to redefine what success means to me in order to really be like have more grace with myself
Yeah.
and be happier in the process.
Mm-hmm.
Because too often success to me was defined by someone else's
Oh,
expectation.
or your interpretation of what success was
Yeah,
by whoever
exactly. Exactly.
instead of how you feel, what you're doing.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, those were I love that she shared those with us. Like I felt like it was, I don't know, such a real moment. She has lots of them. Like, I mean, I also watched her try to stick, like, go into a cold plunge. So, you know,
Did she do it?
she put feet in. It was very anticlimactic, but she did it. So, but you know, I love that she is very real. So it made me start to think in terms of like what I achieved in 2023
Mhm.
and what my lessons were. So I don't know. Do you want to talk about yours, or do you want me to go first?
Go ahead. I'll go next.
Okay. So I feel like one of my lessons, well, one of the things that I really wanted to do in 2023 was journal every single day.
Mhm.
And this is something that I had, you know, I'd been told was so good for me. I read all of the dang things, just journal, you know, all these coaches telling me to
Yeah.
journal. And me knowing how much journaling can affect change, and me trying it for 3 days and going, fuck this shit, you know? And last year in 2023, I journaled almost every single day. There were some days that I didn't. There were some days that I would go 3 days without it. But I was able to do this for the entire year. And the things that came up and the way that I was able to manage tough emotions, I think was a lot easier with journaling. And I really began to see it almost as like so cathartic. It was like cheap therapy, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Really.
Mhm.
And what I saw that it allowed me to do was sit with my negative emotions and not roll around in them.
Yeah. Yeah. You
So
shine the light on them.
yeah, and then in order to release them,
Yeah.
not in
Then they're
order to
just not
sit
as
in them.
scary when you're putting the light on them and you see them for what they are. We
Yeah,
make them so much bigger in our
exactly.
minds. Mhm.
Exactly. So I feel as though consistency and enjoying the process and finding my own way was a huge thing for me this year. Even coming down to, you know, before we got on this podcast, we were talking about, you were saying, I wish I had counted how many books I read. Well, I
Mhm.
counted how many books I read, and it was one. However,
Mhm.
what was interesting was I downloaded the Kindle app and I was using the Open Dyslexic font on a black background, and I read the dang book in like 2 days.
Yeah.
Matthew McConaughey's Green Lights. It was success to me in my own way. Now, do I love, like, I still buy books. I love flipping the papers. I love the smell of books. I love having it in my hand, but guess what? It doesn't work for me. So, like, switch it up, Priestley,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so that was like, it was a really good lesson for me to, I had a lot of lessons this year, was figure out your way and do it your way and fuck
Mhm.
everything else.
Mhm.
So my Kindle app on the iPad, that's my way. And it works.
Find what
Um,
works.
journaling,
Mhm.
I personally do not like journal prompts. I feel restricted by them.
Mm.
I don't love them. I do not love them. Some of them are great. I don't want to write on them. And so instead of doing journal prompts, I found journal strategies, journal techniques. And I think it is the game changer
Mhm.
for people who fucking hate journaling. And then the other thing that I realized is that I am not immune to falling down. I had
Who
some really
is?
difficult moments.
Mhm.
And I think in the fall of this year. And I think in many ways, I overestimated my ability to manage things until I got hit in the face with some really tough stuff. It
Yeah,
allowed
you
me,
managed it so well. You had moments,
I had moments.
but you didn't live there.
No, I did not live there. And I intentionally dug myself out, you know, like it was like every single day. Okay, I do not like this feeling. What do I need to do? Who do I need to call? What do I need to do? What kind of strategies do I need? How can I get my shit back together? It's this humbling and a beautiful experience to remind myself of how far I've come and that I can do hard things.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
so it was just, yeah, I felt like, I don't know, like an elevated level of power
Mhm.
when I went through that, you know, because if we don't experience tough things, we don't get to prove how tough we are.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like that's it. It felt like to me, I proved how tough I was. I proved to myself that
To yourself.
I can manage everything. Yeah, I don't, I don't need to prove to anyone else.
Mm-mm.
But to myself, it was like a really good reminder that sometimes life is really not that spectacular, not that easy. And we can always manage it. There's always things that we can do to make it a little bit easier. And we don't need to run from it,
Mm-mm.
but we don't need
And
to roll in it.
don't you find though that being on the other side of it, you realize that wasn't that bad. I
Yeah.
totally managed that.
Yeah.
And to see where maybe there might have been times where you overreacted or
Oh,
had a lot of fear that wasn't, what's the word, needed. It
oh, yeah.
it wasn't anything to be fearful of.
Right. There were moments where I created a whole scenario that was not true. I needed to rely on all of the things that I've learned over the years in order to get my crap back together too, including like 94% of the things that you worry about never come true.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a lot of learning or realization that what I had learned before works.
Yeah.
It still works. And
Mm-hmm.
that it can, um, you know, and to give myself a little bit of grace for the days where I didn't feel like I was on fire. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I feel like 2023 was a spectacular year for me because of all of that, which is
Yeah.
interesting, right? Like it was like, wow, I am powerful because I came through all of that.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was an interesting way to view all of my lessons that I learned the quote unquote hard way.
2023 for me was an amazing year. There were hard moments in it. And I remember starting off the year, I was in a place where there were some things that I was unhappy with in different areas of my life and in three specific places. And I remember getting up one morning, kind of complaining, going, this is going on, and this is going on, and this is going on. And then I went, wait, if all of this stuff is happening to you in different areas of your life, you are the common denominator.
Mm-hmm.
Shit. Shit. So I didn't know what to do, but that's when I started my whole meditation process in the morning. And I had a realization that I had to give up my idea of all these things being wrong. And instead of looking at what was going wrong in these areas, what could I appreciate?
Mm-hmm.
Not that I have to appreciate the pile of shit right there, but around in that subject. There was something in the subject that I could find happiness in. And
Mm-hmm.
it was a moment when everything changed. And I'm listening to my Abraham and I'm doing my meditation and I don't stop. And that's one lesson that I got was huge for me this year is that once things change, you don't stop what you're doing and go back to what you were doing before. Because remember, I had that moment where everything resolved itself. I think it took 3 weeks, Sandra.
Okay.
Again, blew my mind. But everything finally wrapped up. It was a Friday afternoon. And I was laughing at the ease in which everything came together. And I didn't have a goal for these
Mm.
things to work out in the way that they did. I was just, my goal was to feel good in all of these situations. And it was a Friday and everything had wrapped itself up. And it was like it was delivered to me in this big bow with a big bow on it. And I remember getting up Saturday morning going, I can relax today. Like I've done all this work to create all this calm. And my inner being goes, really? You've seen what this practice has done for you in this short period of time. And you're going to say, I'm going to go back to what I was doing before so that you can get back in that same boat. And it was a like slap in the face, not in a bad way, but just, oh shit, that's my pattern. That's what I used to do. I don't do that anymore.
I think lots of us do that, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like
And it's with anything. I see it happening with weight loss, with business, with relationships, with it across the board.
yeah,
We, do the things that feel good or to get us out of a situation.
yeah,
And then we're out of the situation and we're like, okay, I'll coast.
right. Exactly. A good friend of mine, she always says, if it works, do it more.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's like, if it works and it's worked, then we quit it.
Mhm.
It makes
Mhm.
zero sense.
Mhm.
Right? But it's like, oh yeah, okay, I got this now. So now I'm going to stop.
Mhm. Yeah. But that was a huge one for me. And then another one was just how aware I am when I bump up against something and I can feel the resistance in my body now. So I know exactly what is going on in that moment. And it's resistance
Yeah.
to what, and it's comes up in different areas. It's not one thing.
Mhm.
And so that my word this year is release,
Mm,
because that's, I want to get better. I want to get proficient at feeling the resistance and letting it go
yeah.
instead of feeling the resistance and going, oh yeah, there's resistance there, and
Mhm.
turning on my head and trying to do these things to release it when I'm just hanging on and I just let it go,
Yeah.
whatever that is.
I love the words release, surrender,
Mm.
flow.
Yeah,
They just
surrender is a really good one too.
feel so lovely, don't they?
Mm.
And just to me, it's similar to just faith.
Yeah.
Just like having faith that it's going to work out, like having, and almost in a way of like, um, not being in control, like realizing that you're not in control and that it's going to be okay. I
Well,
think when we start to feel like we have to control the outcome,
no.
right? That's when we have that resistance and that frustration and all of
Mhm.
those, that sort of tenseness in our bodies when we feel like we have to control the outcome.
But I think we are in control of the way we think and the way
Yeah.
we focus. And from
Yes.
personal experience over many, many years, I have found that when I control the way I feel, as far as I want to feel good, what
Right.
is going to make me feel good? And
Right.
looking at something I want and feeling excited about that. And then letting the universe swoop in and handle it all for me. And
Yes.
it always turns out better when I release it
Mhm.
and go, oh, I want to feel like this.
Yes.
And what is going to come with that? It's always better. The job's always better. House is
Mhm.
always better. The car is always better. The experience, the trip, the what than I could have conceived with my minuscule ability to
Right.
create,
Yes.
because I could not comprehend what could be to the extent that source does.
Yes. And I think when we believe that we can control the outcome or that it's our job to
Mhm.
control the outcome of a situation, the energy of that is not helpful to manifest what we want at all, right?
Yeah.
Like we want to feel that flow and that alignment and that release and just like what else is possible kind of energy.
Well, and I just laugh because the things that show up,
Oh yeah.
the ideas, the inspiration to call this person, to go here, to, take a hypnotherapy in an NLP class.
Yeah.
Just because when that guy asked, do you do NLP? And I was like, okay, this is my sign. I'm supposed to look into this. I had no idea where that was going to lead. And where I sit now, had I not listened to that nudge and acted upon it, I mean, I just laugh. I couldn't have imagined this. I couldn't have made this shit up. And that's the magic of it all.
Yeah. I love the process. To me, it feels like flow.
Mm-hmm.
When something is presented to us, a door appears and we walk through.
Mm-hmm.
It's like reward. It's like we're immediately rewarded with another door, or and not to like change directions, but it's just like, oh, it's opening up to something else and it's opening up to something else. And
Mm-hmm.
how often do we have an experience where something is said to us like that random dude that said,
Yeah.
do you do NLP, right? Like, and you took it as, okay, I I'm not doing this, but maybe I should. And I think it was immediately you
Oh,
went
it
to
was the very
that.
next morning.
I thought so.
And he was probably the third person to say something to me.
Yeah.
And so when I heard it again, it was like, okay, I get it,
Yeah.
universe. I hear you. I hear you now.
I believe that the faster we act, the more the universe provides for us.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that is a weird way to think about it. Maybe it's wrong, but like that's my belief. It seems to me, even when I'm talking with clients, and I notice like we'll have an amazing call, especially if they're clarity calls or branding calls. And so what I notice is, and what I always tell them is, now take some type of action. I don't care what it is, but take some type of action. You feel inspired, take some type of action right now.
Yeah.
Because when you do, the universe just goes, oh, she's fucking serious. Click. And it's like something else happened. It's like we get into this momentum of magic.
Oh, for sure. But my
Yeah.
question is it the universe then giving us more, or is it the fact that we're now in tune? And are we getting messages all the time that we're going irrelevant, because our brain thinks it's not possible?
It is possible.
You know?
It's also possible that, like, I've heard some people say that once you get an idea or the universe comes to you in some form of an idea that's meant for you, and you take that idea and take some sort of action, the universe, God, source, the angels go, oh, you're listening. Fuck, here you go. And hands you a bunch more because you're like now in tune.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, whatever floats your boat, whatever,
Yeah.
like to
Whatever
me,
resonates.
whatever resonates for the greater good of you is important to grab onto. And for me, I just choose to believe like that if I get an idea and I take some sort of action and then I notice something happening right after that, like some other gift, some other message, some sort of validation after, I choose to believe, okay, I'm in the vortex, let's go.
Yeah. But you can feel it.
You can. What amazing 2023.
I know.
And like,
But I'm so excited about what 2024 is going to bring.
I know. I love the beginning of the year.
Mhm.
It's similar to Mondays for me. Like, I just feel like every Monday is like, woo, what's going to happen? Exciting. What exciting thing is going to happen this week?
Oh my
And
gosh.
I
I need to
feel,
totally adopt that.
oh, every Monday, every single Monday. And this was even when I was working and something shitty things happened because I had spent too many times working with government employees who were just bitching and stressed and couldn't sleep. So they had Friday night, they were exhausted, hard week and all.
Yeah.
Saturday, they had a great day. Sunday, woke up and thought, fuck, I got to go back to work tomorrow. And then dreading going to work tomorrow. And then thinking all night, can't sleep because I got to go back to work. And I just thought, what an awful way to live. What an awful way to spend the majority of your waking hours dreading where you're going.
Yeah.
Like quit or do something different.
Right.
So when I became a manager, that's what I just adopted. And I would just say, "Ooh, it's Monday morning. What amazing things are going to work this week? What amazing things are going to happen?" And you know what was interesting was I don't know if anyone ever adopted it but me.
Doesn't matter.
Oh, I had it. But it seemed like the response was, yeah, what are you on? Or this like, well, I'll tell you all the nasty things that I've got on my list today. There was a need to complain, and I just wasn't willing to go there because I wanted to have the best time that I possibly could. So I was always excited because something cool was going to happen. And of course, if you put that out, something cool is going to fucking happen.
Yeah.
And you're prepping yourself to see it. And so January for me is like, what cool experiences are going to happen in 2024?
Wow.
What are we going to experience this year?
Okay. Well, on that note, we are out of time, but I love that. And I'm totally adopting that this year.
I love it.
That's, yeah, done. Thank you,
Every
Sandra.
Monday, every beginning of the year, every beginning of the month.
And every beginning of the week. Awesome. Thank you. Have a great week. And thank you guys for joining us. We will see you next Thursday on the Happy Half Hour. Bye.
Bye.